Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope all of you having a great week. Hope all of you having a great Thursday night. If not, hope this video can make it a little bit better. And man, oh man, not to toot my own horn or anything, but if some of you were watching the videos at the end of the most recent college football season, you would remember I told you, guys, off season, it's not as long as you think. You're going to go to a fireworks show. You're going to go to a pool, eat some barbecue, hang out with your friends. Next thing you know, you're going to look up. It's early August. And guess what? August is in about a week from now. The season's right around the corner, which is good news for you guys and bad news for the MBG sweatshop because it will not be closing from August until March. And with the season sneaking back up on us, it means the drama, it's starting to come back as well. I've had quite a bit of y'all send this to me on Twitter. I can't even remember the exact quotes, but I know it's something on the lines of, and I've saved these, I've bookmarked them, Rhett Lashlee, which is SMU's head coach. Of all the people who should be talking, it's not him. I'll come back to that in just a second, a little foreshadowing. And Curt Cignetti. Both of these two clowns are still throwing shots at the SEC. I don't care what anybody says. Curt Cignetti is one of the biggest cornballs out there. Can you imagine getting an ego as a head coach when you're playing nobody? I respect the guy, and I'm not going to lie, it was kind of hard when a reporter last year, when he was taking over Indiana, asked him a question. He was like, "You can Google me. I win." That was tough, but everything after that, I'm just like, yeah, this guy's a weirdo. Anyways, they're talking crap about the SEC. We're going to take a look at that. And before we get into that, we're going to take a look at the comment section on the recent video where we talked about Tennessee and Georgia. Letting you know right now, if any of these comments are calling me anything but my name, you're getting banned. Actually, bann's kind of crazy. We're just going to do strikes. I can already see some weird stuff in this one. Strike. Strike. Scrolling on down here. Strike. 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 And yeah, strike. Holy crap, we got a $10 super chat. Completely unnecessary, but much appreciated. That will be going to a great cause. Hope I'm saying this correctly. Is it Batterex Dailies? I think that's how you say it. If I'm mispronouncing it, I do apologize. Another banger from, all right, man, that's not my name. We're already starting out with the disrespect. Would love to see a what happened video on Jake Browning. My uncle was a teacher of his high school and always had great things to say. As an Oregon fan, I remember him all too clearly while he was at Washington. Wasn't sure if I should celebrate or be sad when they got... Alright, man, what is this? I'm not even reading the rest of that. That's crazy. But thank you again for the $10. Definitely probably going to get us a new whiteboard. As you know, the whiteboard got damaged last year. I would love to read off some more comments if you guys roasted me, but we got a video to make. We got a topic to speak on. Where's the first one? All right, we're going to start out with old Cignetti, the cornball from Indiana. For those of you who don't know Indiana, they snuck into a playoffs last year that they deserved to be in. Absolutely not, but somebody had to go. They beat nobody all year long, but they won their games in the sorry and sucky Big Ten. And when I call them sorry and sucky, let me clarify, they do have 2 or 3 really great teams every single year, but that's it. Top to bottom, not a good conference. Say all that to say this, last year Indiana and Curt Cignetti caught some heat for not scheduling anybody, not playing anybody, and more importantly, not beating anybody. I digress. And this year, he's been catching some heat because they just canceled their non-conference series with Virginia. Let me say this again. Virginia. Unless I am highly misinformed on the Virginia football program, they're not going to be good. Really good at that. I'm talking about like top 15, anything, top 10, top 12. You get the point. Anytime soon. This isn't a perennial powerhouse, so why are you running from them? Anyways, Cignetti, being the smart aleck he is, and I'm just calling it for how I see it, I see through the mask. He's being a smart aleck when he says stuff like this. He said, and I quote, and this is him responding to some of the criticism and backlash he's received by canceling that series, "We figured we'd adopt an SEC scheduling philosophy." I know you guys like when I go crazy, I go on rant and tangents, but it's so hard for me to get upset when I see something so blasphemous. So let me give you a great example. Let's say you work out right, and I'll just use myself as an example. I bench press. I think my max is around like 275, 285. I can't remember. It's been a minute since I've maxed out. And one of you come up to me in public and say, "Yo, Matt, I heard you can only bench the bar. I heard you can only bench 45 pounds. That's how much the bar weighs if you don't know." I'm not even going to give you a reaction. I'm just going to be like, "Oh, yeah, good one, man. Ha ha." Like, it's not even worth getting rallied up about. Does that make sense? Why is that, though? Because it is so, and I'm talking about so far from the truth. Same thing here with Curt Cignetti. With him consistently throwing shade and shots at the SEC, I'm just like, yeah, I'm not falling for the rage bait, man. That's what everyone's been saying recently on social media. That's what he's doing. Rage baiting people. You're not getting me. I'm a professional rage baiter. Oh, let's take a look at this. Somebody replied in the comments, with Indiana Hoosiers' upcoming non-conference schedule, this should be interesting. 2025, Old Dominion. That's still a team? Are they D1? Is that FCS? I have no idea. Kennesaw State, which at one point in time was the worst team in all of college football, and Indiana State. That is the 3 easiest games I've ever seen. Continuing along here, 2026, Colorado State, and that's somewhat respectable, but still, it's a cupcake in Western Kentucky. By the way, Alabama beat Western Kentucky last year by a 60-burger, and Alabama wasn't even that good. 2027, Kennesaw State again, so they're getting them twice. Okay, I guess it's a... No, I was about to say home and home series. Why are they playing them in 2025 and 2027? Doesn't matter. And UMass, another terrible team. And last but not least, in 2028, Austin Peay. I mean, this is unreal. In Eastern Michigan. I almost hope this is fake. Meanwhile, the last time I checked, Alabama, more times than not, always opens up season opener with a notable opponent. They're playing the Seminoles this year. I know everybody's going to say, well, Matt, the Seminoles, they stink. Well, yeah, no crap, but when they scheduled this game, the Seminoles are really good. Alabama also played Florida State years ago, and I think that was a top 10 matchup. When Nick Saban was there, Alabama played Wisconsin in the first game, Virginia Tech. Alabama is always playing in good games against Power 5 or now Power 4 opponents. Another great example, LSU. Don't they open up with Clemson? I'm pretty sure on that. They played Florida State a couple years. There's so many examples out there of the SEC playing good or just respectable opponents in the non-conference. I'd be up here for 10 hours listing all of them off. That's why to me this is so ridiculous. For him to act like the SEC plays nobody, I mean, what are you talking about? And I do know what he's saying. There's a couple weeks, sometimes in the middle of the year, and normally with like 2 or 3 weeks left to go in the season, where the SEC, they're just playing straight cupcakes. I get that. Trust when I say this, nobody hates watching the SEC playing these cupcakes more than myself, because more times than not, they're not competitive ball games. But these are also money games for those opposing teams. Secondly, the SEC is a gauntlet in itself. So if, we'll just say Auburn for the sake of this video, wants to take a few weeks off, schedule straight up cupcakes in a non-conference, do you blame them? Because I don't. I don't care if you play non-conference games, Curt Cignetti. The Big Ten sucks outside of 2 or 3 teams. I'm not going to sit up here and say I can't stand Curt Cignetti. It's not to that point. It's more so of I don't understand where this ego has come from. You've done nothing. Until you win a national championship, you shouldn't be talking like this. I'm not going to hold you. Y'all know I'm a professional Ryan Day hater. But if Ryan Day said something like this, I'd probably let it slide, because at least, and I know he had the most talented team, he has a national championship. To me, you can't talk until you do that. And I already know you're going to have some nerd. I see you, Timothy, run to a comment section. Well, Matt, Curt Cignetti has previous schools had a winning percentage. I don't care what you do in D2 and D3, buddy. Do it at the Division I level, win a championship, then talk to me. By the way, hold on. Scratch that. We're talking about a national championship. I'm getting way too far ahead of myself. How about this, Curt Cignetti? Why don't you win a top 25 game first, and then you can talk to me? Indiana played one difficult game last year in the regular season and got curb stomped by a little bro state. Curb stomped. Don't let the score deceive you. Let me move along here. I may come back to Curt Cignetti in a minute. Where's this other goober at? Okay, I got it right here. I'm going to read you this off word for word. Follow along. New SMU head coach Rhett Lashlee takes shot at the SEC in defense of strength of ACC. Okay, so now this is even worse. We got an ACC head coach, goober, calling out the SEC when we all know. So here's what's funny. Big Ten fans, you do have, or not, you don't have much of, but I understand your argument, right? And there's a good debate. Big Ten, SEC. That's fine. It's all fine and dandy. But the ACC, I mean, this is laughable. Even your Big Ten fans are sitting here going, yeah, what are we doing? Comparing the ACC to the SEC? Get the F out of here. Let me read this off. This is what Lashlee stated, and I quote, "The SEC has had the same 6 schools win the championship since 1964. Oh, I didn't know that. Nice little fun fact. Not a single one has been different since 1964. That's top-heavy to me. That's not depth." I don't really know the context of this, nor do I care, but here's what I do know. You want to talk about top-heavy, so why don't we talk about the ACC? Hasn't Clemson won, like, what is it? 7 of the last 10, or is it 8 out of 10? ACC championships? To me, Rhett Lashlee, that's top heavy. If I was in this room, here would have been my rebuttal to Rhett Lashlee. Okay, good point. But why did your champion, if the SEC is overrated, why did your conference champion, most recent year Clemson, go 0-3 versus the SEC? That's all I'm going to say. And to combine this Curt Cignetti and Rhett Lashlee situation, do y'all understand? Some of you will, some of you won't. How much this actually proves the SEC is the top dog and it's not even close. Here's what I'm talking about. SEC Media Days was last week. Did you see them talking about the ACC or Big Ten? No, they were talking about the SEC themselves. This is the difference. I want y'all to say this with me. I may throw this in at the beginning of the video. Winners focus on winning and losers focus on winners. It's as simple as that. Apply what I just said to this situation. Who's the winners? The SEC. What do they focus on? Winning. Who's the losers? The ACC, the Big Ten. Who are they focusing on? And I'm talking about Curt Cignetti, not the Big Ten as a whole, and Rhett Lashlee. Who are they focusing on? The SEC. Why are you worried about them? Oh, wait a minute. That's right, rhetorical question. Because they are the cream of the crop. They are the best. All that nice stuff. This is common sense 101 with MBG. The only time in this life you should worry is when people aren't talking about you. That means you're irrelevant and they don't care. I'll give you a great example. Who does ESPN talk about 24/7? LeBron James. Whether he does great, whether he does bad. Why? Because he's one of the greatest of all time. Some would say he is the greatest of all time. The fact we are still having these conversations about the SEC, how they're overrated, they're not this, they're not that, it establishes and it solidifies why they are the best. And I can't for the life of me understand why the past, I'd say 2 to 3 years, these conversations have really spiked. And last year, I've never seen anything like it. I guess, and this is the only thing I can assume, since Nick Saban has departed from Alabama, all these other college football fans from the ACC, Big Ten, Pac, or we don't even have the Pac, whatever, all that nonsense is going over there. All these fans, they've gotten hope, and they're like, oh yeah, well the SEC, without Saban, they're not that good. And I do gotta say, I get it a little bit, because if you are a Big 12, Big 10, ACC fan, you want to think you have a chance at being the best conference, but the harsh reality is you're not. SEC is number one. It's not close, and nothing's going to change within at least, I'd say, 40, 50 years, maybe eternity. And the reason I say that is because a main reason why a kid chooses a school outside of money, because we got the NIL, is because of the brand. All the biggest brands are in the Southeast, and guess what? All of your 4- and 5-star recruits, vast majority, you want to take a wild guess at where they're from? The Southeast. It is just so much easier for the SEC schools to get 4- and 5-star recruits, and at the end of the day, if you got all the 4- and 5-star recruits, you have the better chance of winning. Here's the last thing I'm going to say, and we're going to end off this video. You have to be a certified whack job to think there's a better conference than the SEC. A lot of people, when they debate about LeBron and Jordan, what do they bring up? Oh, if you're a Jordan fan at least, oh, well, who's got more rings? That's how we base success. Championships. When we talk about the best golfer all the time, we talk about how many majors have you won. It's always championships. That's what it comes down to. When we talk about the greatest football player of all time, Tom Brady, comes down to championships. Greatest college head coach, Nick Saban, comes down to championships. So, applying that logic to this argument, who's got the most championships the past 25 years? The SEC, and it's not even close. Maybe some of y'all think otherwise, and that's fine. I respect your opinion. We can agree or disagree, but let me know your reasoning down below. If you think the Big Ten, I'm not even going to say ACC, what to say if you think the Big Ten is better than the SEC now. I'd love to hear it. I'm curious. Let me know your thoughts on all this down below. But